This last example might be one of the most significant use cases for tagging. Imagine a pretty typical business scenario where you want to update the model, let's say once a month. Now, an interesting question is that how often should you retrain the model in that scenario? Well, one intuitive answer is that, well, maybe you retrain the model towards the end of the month and then you deploy the new model, let's say the first day of the month. A challenge in that case is that, well, of course, many things can happen over 30 days between you retrain the models. I mean, the data may change, there might be drift in features and so forth. So a much better approach is actually to retrain the model, let's say, on a daily basis. And now many people keep pushback saying that, well, I mean, we don't dare to deploy the model on a daily basis. And there the answer is that, like, you certainly don't have to deploy the model. You don't have to promote the model to production on a daily basis. All you have to do is to retrain the model automatically on a daily basis. And then maybe once a month, towards the end of the month, you can take a look at the latest models and then make a decision if you are ready to promote to production or not. So let's see how it works. So as you may know, using Metaflow, scheduling a workflow to be executed automatically is really straightforward. So let's say in this case, we are using AWS Step Functions as the workflow orchestrator. And in this case, the AWS Step Functions make sure that this workflow is actually executed on a daily basis. The beautiful thing here is that, like, we don't have to execute it on our laptop. We are actually not even on the hook for keeping the orchestrator running. AWS takes care of that. And as a result, the workflow really indeed runs like every midnight. And the result looks something like this. So here I'm looking at the runtime step functions, like this very workflow that we just deployed. And you can see that I have had this running for a while. So imagine that now these are like kind of the nightly runs that like we have for a few days. Now what happens in the case of Metaflow is that, as you remember, we talked about namespaces. These production deployments get the own production namespace of their own, kind of like every production deployment is assigned kind of like a random identifier so that they are totally isolated from any experimentation that individuals may do. So what we can do is that we can actually take a look at this tag, which is tag as any other tag. And then like we can go to a notebook, say, and here I have already copy pasted that like the production namespace token here. So we can say that, okay, we are interested in inspecting now those workflows that have been running on a daily basis. And then we can make a decision if we are ready to promote a model to production or not. So now, like, since the model has been running for a while, like we have a few of these executions. And in this case, let's say that like we take the latest successful run for further analysis. So in this case, like we can see that actually the ID is some like a step function ID. If we were interested, we could like find the corresponding execution on the step functions console. Now, the key feature of Metaflow is that all the internals of this execution are persisted, all the artifacts. So, for instance, like if we wanted to understand like what was the accuracy of the model, like we can take a look and like here's the accuracy like from the latest execution. Now, like in some simplistic case, I mean, this number by itself might be enough for you to decide if you want to promote or not. But in other cases, there might be much further analysis you want to do. You could even, like in the extreme case, grab the model and like perform some backtesting or like kind of some deeper analysis really to understand if this is something that you dare to promote. So for instance, like here's the card, here's even the visualization of the kind of the latest model and so forth that might you help to make the judgment call or not. So quite simply, all we have to do, like let's say if like we are confident that this is the model that we feel that like is ready to be promoted, we can say run add tag and let's say production. And now when we go back here to the UI, we see that this daily execution has been now promoted to production. And now you can imagine that this is the action that you can take once a month after a careful analysis, or like maybe you have some automated gates that you want to apply. And once a month, like one of these models gets promoted to production. And based on this tag, you can have some downstream systems that then, let's say, like take the latest version of the model and deploy it as a microservice or whatever production might mean in your case.